Kamala Harris is an empty suit. They are trying to create this new version of Kamala Harris to match what their pollsters are telling them so she can say whatever she needs to say to try to win over voters, which is the most offensive thing, I think, because they think we're so stupid as to forget what her record actually is. And so, you know, in 2019, very simply, I confronted her with her hypocrisy, how what she said was very different than what she actually did. And she had no answer for it. She had no explanation. She didn't even try to own or justify what her actions were. And that's going to be the key thing here for voters as we head into this election is, you know, Kamala Harris will say whatever she thinks she needs to say. We have to pay attention to her actions because on every single major issue, you will see that same kind of hypocrisy that I pointed out in 2019, where she'll say one thing, but her record tells a very, very different story.
Well, it is over because Donald Trump has hired Tulsi Gabbard to assist him in his debate preparation with cackling, lying, fraudster, wannabe black Kamala Harris. This is a huge thing because for those who somehow forgot, which I imagine if you were paying attention to politics should be impossible, Tulsi Gabbard totally cooked Kamala Harris, literally ended her political career. She literally dropped out of the primaries right after this because it got so bad. She like dropped down to 0 in the polls after Tulsi Gabbard obliterated her. Take a look.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who are on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Never forget what happened on that day back in the 2020 Democrat primaries. But I actually want to show you guys a clip, or a series of clips actually, from one of Kamala Harris's victims. Curiously enough, this was a guy who basically was framed for murder. Like, they really knew he didn't do it, but they kind of needed to pin the tail on a donkey somewhere, so they pinned it on him because they felt like he was an easy target. This is what prosecutors do. This is why I feel like attorneys, I've said in a previous video, are the worst people on earth, especially prosecutorial attorneys. So Kamala Harris was Attorney General at the time, and she managed to convict this man for murder. Only problem was he was innocent. Now, later on, he did get out of jail, and surprisingly, he even endorsed Biden-Harris administration, but I'll let you see these clips to find out why, and you'll also see the inevitable outcome of that as well.
In 2008, I was framed for murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris. sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct, and it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I look back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. This shit ain't funny.
Later.
You can't be a sore loser. Your candidate didn't make it there. My candidate didn't make it there. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get behind the candidate that is in front of us, and that's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So if you wanted my answer and you wanted, if you thought you was going to get something else, hey, you must not know me enough. At the end of the day, I'm going to say it again, at the end of the day, I'm not going to fall into that Trump trick bag, and I suggest you don't either. Y'all make sure, man, y'all go and rock the vote for Biden and for Kamala. Peace.
This isn't right. It can't end like this.
4 years ago, when she was running for president, I did an interview with Vice. I was very diplomatic. I didn't blame her. I didn't even ask for an apology. All I said was, I'm not necessarily saying I'm looking for an apology, but some acknowledgement from her that she could have messed up would be, of course, that'd be huge. I didn't hear nothing back. I had a ton of support. A lot of people wanted to help me tell my story, especially in Hollywood. I was in production contracts, I was in talks with studios, and so forth. The pressure was on her, and she ended up dropping out of the race.
I'm suspending our campaign.
Until Joe Biden announced her as his VP candidate.
We did it. We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
After that, I started losing a lot of support. Executive producers detaching, contracts dissolving. The movement that I once had to ultimately tell my story vanished. So what you think I did?
Get behind the candidate that is in front of us, and that's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
You damn right. I told the world, I'm gonna put my differences aside with Kamala Harris, and I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden. I ain't gonna fuck with the bad. I know this isn't a popular opinion, and I'm gonna get a lot of backlash. But at the end of the day, it's my story, and I wanna tell it. And if you're wondering if I'm gonna be voting for Kamala Harris, fuck no. Donald Trump, big Trump. I'm rocking with Trump. Donald 50 Cent Jackson Trump. I'm going with Donald Trump. Where my red hat at?
I checked out Jamal Truelove's Instagram page, and there are countless black women on his page telling him that he's wrong for holding a grudge against Kamala Harris. It's not her fault. He needs to forgive her. Project 2025 is bad, so he's using his platform for evil. Like, they saying all kinds of stuff. They literally are disregarding. This man was in prison for 5 years and had some additional cherry on top time because he had to go back to trial again. So essentially, this guy lost like 6.5 years of his life, and these people are saying they don't give a damn about none of that. But that aside, do I actually think that Donald Trump even needs Tulsi Gabbard's help? Not really. As a matter of fact, this whole story may be a misnomer because Donald Trump probably knows about all of these things as it relates to cackling Kamala, cowardly Kamala, fraudster Kamala already. But kind of having this story out there, I think, is kind of trying to like build the hype. You know, we're right before the DNC, so they're going to try to steal some thunder from that. They also want to build up the fact that Donald Trump is going to cook Kamala Harris in this debate because, again, Donald Trump, I don't think, as far as I've seen, has not lost any debate. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up by showing a little bit more debate footage of him cooking additional opponents in the Republican primaries of the past.
You're real tough,
by insulting your way to the
let's see, I'm
presidency.
at 42 and you're at 3, so
Doesn't matter.
far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better. You know, you started off over here, Jeb. You're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the end.
Lose your temperament.
Jeb doesn't really believe I'm unhinged. He said that very simply because he has failed in this campaign. It's been a total disaster. Nobody cares. And frankly, I'm the most solid person up here.
John, the reason...
Mr. Trump, talking about the polls, I'm beating him awfully badly in the polls.
But you're not beating Hillary.
So
You're not beating Hillary.
Well, then if I can't beat her, you're really going to get killed, aren't you? First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls. And how he got up here, there's far too many people. And
Mr. Trump.
I never attacked him on his look. And believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. Very well.
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet. She's been doing this for 30 years. Why the hell didn't you do it over the last 15, 20 years? You were very much involved. Excuse me. My turn. Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
We want to remind the audience to please not talk out loud. Please do not applaud. You're just wasting time.
I'm going to steal one from Obama real quick and say Kamala Harris is about to get a good shellacking from Teflon Don, because he don't play in these debates and her ass is going to get kicked too. Do you guys think that Kamala Harris stands a chance in this upcoming debate? Even though Donald Trump isn't at his peak right now like he was back in 2020, I still don't think that Kamala Harris stands any chance against Teflon Don at all. If she did, she would have participated in those 3 debates, or at least 2 debates, not just 1. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Kamala Harris is fake. She's a consummate politician. We've got to pay attention to her record as vice president.
Hey, when Trump was in office, was cool.